Here.
Mitchell.
Here.
Pepperell. Taylor. Stone.
Here.
Goodwill. Housework.
Here.
Thank you. Call to order. Roll call, please, Chris.
Councilmember Melama.
Here.
Shippers. Here. Spelman. Here. Stevens. Absent. Mayor Burnett.
Here. The pledge of allegiance.
Please join us for our pledge of allegiance.
I think we should. It doesn't appear on our agenda, so we'll not only amend our agenda, but approve it quickly. We have a motion from council for this.
Motion to approve the agenda.
We'll add the, basically we're approving. And is there support? Support. Any discussion? Hearing none. Chris, could we please have roll call?
Councilmember Shippers. Yes. Spelman. Yes. Melama.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, thank you. Our next portion is public comment. I don't know if you have.
That's ours too.
Okay.
I was just gonna say that, this is a public hearing tonight. Function as a public hearing, so your public comment does not pertain to the animal control issue. Now is the time to speak, if you're here to speak on the animal control issue, wait till I open the public hearing. Anyone like to address the board with anything that would concern animal control?
When are you guys gonna start calling the Wexford County DPW, the Harrington Township DPW? Pretty much that's what's going on out there, that's what's happening, that's the biggest client. And they got a guy sitting on that board that represents their biggest client. I don't know if that's a conflict or not, maybe somebody should ask. But, perhaps at the time, somebody ought to look into that. And then the other question is what's going on out in Borsman property? You guys put a lift station out there just to make sure the 425 deal stuck? Okay. Yeah, after there's other stuff.
Thank you.
Anyone else, public, I guess we're gonna go with general public comments, and that's fine. So I'd like to ask anyone if they'd also like to give a public comment. And thank you for fixing the mic. There we go. And maybe turn it over to the next speaker, but thanks. Sorry. No, good job. No, how about you? Thank you. Very nice. Sorry, Mr. McGrady, didn't get a mic, but I think we heard you okay. Anyone else with a comment? There's not going to be part of the public hearing, which is including public comment. Hearing no one, seeing no one else, I'm comfortable that we've given the public an opportunity to speak. We have one of these at the end of our meeting, so hopefully you do too.
That brings us down to our regular agenda item, so at this time, I will open a public hearing on the future direction of the animal control program, and I believe Mr. Howie has stated he'd like to.
I'd just like to
Mr. Howell, sorry about that, Commissioner Howell. It makes sense for us too at this point to open our public hearing, so I'm going to formally do that, and I'll throw it back to you both. Thank you.
Just one comment, which is, I'd really like to emphasize that we're looking for future direction in the animal control. I mean, we could spend our time talking about the past, it's not going to solve where we need to go. And I just want to ask people to support that objective, so that maybe we can accomplish something. So, thank you very much for coming.
So the public hearing is now open, so anyone would like to speak, please step to the podium.
Speaking.
biggest expenses are vet care and payroll. We are always looking for more volunteers. Obviously, the more volunteers we have, the less payroll we have. The more people cleaning, they're volunteering. We do have an awful lot of volunteers. They come out to walk dogs, to socialize, we have games coming out. Families will come out, and we've had one family now for 5 years who come out every single week to walk dogs. So when you're building yourself as a resident shelter, people support that, and that's one of the things I think is important. So I'm going to give you 2 other resources. One thing that's really important to realize is that today, in today's day and age, in 2013, people want military shelters. They want to be in the street. There's a huge trend across this country, and a big part of that is being led by best friends and almost sanctuary and being taught. I would highly suggest that you have a committee looking at this, or somebody who's going to work on this, that you contact them. They have community outreach. They work with shelters all over the country to help them get things set up and get them going. Another shelter that you may want to talk to, one of our board members, our ex-president, worked in Chippewa County on their term with their shelter. And the shelter director's name is Holly, I don't know the last name, but they operate quite differently. They're actually run by the county. She is the shelter director and the animal control person, along with the president of animal control. And she reports to the county controller. Not necessarily very different setup. There aren't that many shelters that are provided. But theirs runs extremely well. Their budget is about $150,000. She'd be more than happy to share how they do stuff there as well.
making sure all this is followed? Your group or the animal
Well,
control?
animal control has been taking work, when they take it in, they have to keep their records of what they're taking in, and then they release the animal to us. And we keep a record of every single animal, they photograph, all their medical things are there, so when someone goes to the doctor, we can see every single shot they've had, what their situation is, making sure we have all that information together. And we keep them, and we give them a copy, and we go to the doctor, and we keep those records. Sometimes animals come back, for whatever reason, numerous people who don't bring them back, it's not working, they have time to bring them back, we make sure they go back to us, so it stays in our shelter.
With $110,000 operational, what is your biggest expense?
The two biggest expenses are the vet bills, and then our payroll. Yeah, and we have, right now, we have a shelter manager, we used to have a shelter director, kind of did everything. We have a shelter manager now and an animal welfare. So the shelter manager manages the operations and everything, and then the animal welfare manager is responsible for making sure that all animals are healthy and going into the vet, there's shots, medications, and she keeps track of all of those records.
All, I'm sorry, all animals in Center State before they are.
Or they're adopted out. As soon as they come to our side, they get to the vet, they have all the shots, they get spayed and neutered.
And how much do you charge for the adoption?
The adoptions are, kittens are $50, regular cats are $40, female dogs are $225, and male dogs are $125. $225 for the male dog, or the female dogs. And what's interesting, I ran some numbers once, I thought some of these cats are here for a long time. We actually lose money in cats, because the cats are here for a long time by the time they get stage neuter or spay or and medications and shots they have along with their more everybody every month that is cost money. So the longer they're there, the more they cost us. We make it up on dog and about the kids on the cat. We found that looking at different costs, at one time it was $75. Well, we don't know, nobody wants to pay $75, so we settle on 40 and 50. Kittens are easy, they're easy to pick up the extra $10.
What kind of program do you use to get yourself?
Yeah, we just got a new one that our president is working on, our computer is strictly for animal shelter ministry, but I don't have anything that I can get to.
So other than the rent you get from the county, you don't get any taxpayer money.
Now, it's all donations, memberships. We did introduce a new type of membership last year, and it seemed to go really well. We borrowed it from best friends. It's their Golden Paw Society, so we call it Golden Paw, Platinum Paw, and Diamond Paw. So it's for $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000 donations. We have a plaque. They get a certificate of recognition, and then there's a plaque that shows their name on it or an honor of the animal that they want to donate. And we had about 15 of those last year, and so we're going to
Is there a millage in place to cover the animal control portion?
So, the questions from your end?
You're all set. We can come back to you too. I just for clerk, if you could give us your name again, maybe spell it for our.
Yes, I'm sorry, it's Camille, C-A-M-I-L-L-E. Last name is Kossis, K-O-C-S-I-S.
Okay, ma'am, your entity, your Humane Society?
It's the Manistee County Humane Society.
Is it actually a county or is it a private? Private.
We're 501c3, but we represent the trade.
You said, thank you, your phone number?
231-398-0938.
Thank you for coming and sharing with us. Our members may have some questions for you. I don't know. We're going to do questions.
I have a question. With respect to the time allotted on the county's end, it was mentioned that it's by ordinance, but does the county euthanize any animals at all? Or do they just simply hold animals for a certain period of time and then just eventually transfer everything over to the society?
Yes, there's a time that's a time frame that's from the Department of Agriculture, how long we're supposed to keep animals there in case someone is looking at pet finders, in case their animal is lost. We actually had an incident that was two big huge dogs that were running around, somebody found, brought them into us, they were in animal control for their 10 days, they were 10 days. We brought it over to our side, we did all our animals on pet finder. Some woman called and said, oh my God, those are the dogs that got away. While their owner was in Montana on vacation, so we came scurrying back and was able to pick up the dog from us. So they are there, again, by law for a certain amount of time, then we, again, look at those animals and evaluate them to bring them to our side. The only time that the county or the animal control would euthanize is if there was some very, very dangerous dog situation. And, you know, I've been on board for about 2.5 years now, nothing that happens is that. So it has to be very unusual, or if it was very obviously a rabid animal, something that is just dangerous to the public, you know, we certainly would take it to make it back to the animal back. It's very rare.
Is that the only way that you get animals, or do you also get animals when people want to surrender them?
It's a good question. Yes, we do. We take them and relinquish, and we see now people that can afford to take care of them. Just, you know, different things. They let them out, they get them fixed, and there's a litter, and we want to
Millie, you mentioned that the question sent you. Who sent you questions?
I believe all of our neighbors from county have them. I think it's insurance. County Minister Kennedy.
Okay. And do you have any specific recommendations other than our county modeling what you're doing?
You know, I think it works for us. I think we just kind of have to figure out how it's going to work for you in terms of, you know, like I said, Chippewa is very successful with their deal. They have a completely different setup. I think my biggest suggestion would be definitely have a couple people take a look at best friends, animal sanctuary, and just we have a lot of people who are willing to do that, answer questions for you, and give you some ideas and suggestions. And they're across the country. They work with shelters, so they would be able to see a lot of different scenarios. But it definitely helps us to have a good relationship with them.
Just for clarification, the best friends, that's how it comes out.
Yes. And I have some information that I just got from them, it's got some information, contact that.
Well, you the clerk would probably be able to exchange them. I guess I have $110,000 in your entire budget.
That's what it costs us to run.
How many people are you serving? We have approximately 33,000 in Wexford County. You know, these are more than Manistee or except animals from out of the county.
No, unless there's some strange exception. We did have one of our old director in her new position in community mental health or something compliance or emergency situation. She called and said, I'm only going to ask the ones, can you take the phone's hat? Because she's absolutely distraught because she has to leave it to the state for an emergency, for the message issue. And she was scared to death to take it to Mason County because they're not a no-no. And she couldn't travel, she couldn't get there. So, okay, we got one. Kind of individuals.
There's only one question this morning. One month, your board, do they have any say as far as what animal control does? When the animals come in, if animal control wants to put them down, does your board have a say?
Technically, we wouldn't because it's two separate organizations. However, there is a I know that they would be talking to the shelter, they need to look at that animal and think, is this an animal possibly adoptable? The time that I have on board is really long. It's been a long time. So, yeah.
I do think there's a follow-up question, and I apologize, I think you may have already answered this, but the first part of it is, you've got a 5-member board, and then it sounds like there's really only 2 employees, the
Yeah.
manager and the welfare manager.
Those are the two main full-time employees. We do have several part-time employees that are cleaners, and then the rest are all volunteers.
Okay. And then the other part to that question is, I 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, is it, what were the hours?
Our hours to the public are Wednesdays from 12 to 6, and then Thursday, Friday,
a separate budget from your $110,000?
Yeah, they have their own budget, we have ours, and then we have a contract with them, as I said, for them to pay the rent to us. And then we take a look at that every year, and also that percentage, I believe it's 30% towards the utilities and fund.
What's the building that you use for the shelter?
We built it 7 years ago, basically with the specifications, how we draw on one side, gas on the other. There's 2 separate rooms with washers and dryers, because we're going nonstop. Everybody gets fresh cut every day. There's a kitchen area. There's also an area that has a shower and bathroom that sometimes during kitten and puppy season, somebody's got to be there about 2 hours.
Have you toured our facility and do you have any recommendations to improve the physical structure?
I have not, but I didn't know I could do that.
Anyone else on the city side, any questions? Really appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Public hearing is still open. Anyone want to come up?
I encourage you to one of the concerned citizens who seems to be kind of a repeat offender with a bad penny and keep turning up at your meetings. I just wanted to kind of reflect on kind of what some of our core concerns were, or what we were hoping would be some outcomes. Because certainly the concerns, the desired outcomes that we had then really maintain are true and steadfast today. Originally we came into this because there were some concerns about how the shelter was being operated. Certainly no need to go into detail on that, but I think because we continue to have concerns, and the more involved and engaged we've gotten in trying to identify solutions, it seems there's more concerns that we come up with. So I just want to impress that we continue as a group of folks have ongoing concerns and seeing this change occur. And I thank you for this opportunity for us all to get together and problem solve. So we continue to have concerns, and I appreciate the changes that have been occurring, but certainly there continues to be room for improvement. We continue to believe as a group of concerned citizens that there is a need for alternate supervision or alternate operations. I think Camille is going to be my new best friend. I'm in love with her right now because I really like what I'm hearing, what they're doing at Manistee County Humane Society. I would agree that I think probably one of the best things that we can do is separate animal control operations, which is a law enforcement aspect, to of course be maintained still under the sheriff's department, and with the shelter operations and the handling of the animals, the adoptions, the fostering, to be operated under a 501c3. I think that provides a couple of great benefits. It allows an opportunity for a 501c3, which I think I believe it can be very safely characterized as a more impassioned, committed group of folks to the cause of working with the animals. And I think there are some best care outcomes for those animals. I think that there's an opportunity through this change for there to be some improvement, some streamlining, if you will, of the financial aspects of the shelter. I think that with some transparency and some increased accountability with the funds, the 501c3 will be able to give the county residents, we the taxpayers, a bigger bang for your buck. The dollars that we're putting into the shelter operations, I think can best be served by going through a 501c3. There's also then the opportunity that when folks do make donations, they can get tax credit on that, a tax deduction. I think clearly delineating the finances of law enforcement, sheriff's department from shelter operations, animal care, I think would be really paramount in helping the Board of Commissioners realizing some financial savings where that money could be best served in meeting some other community needs, some other county needs. I do see this as an opportunity for growth. I think that the need for change is there. Clearly and unfortunately, there has been a loss of trust and faith in what the current situation is. And I would agree that it's probably something that can't be repaired and which truly warrants a change. The goal, when we look at what is a good shelter, we're looking at a shelter that has accurate record keeping from intake to adoption or foster. There currently is software that the shelter is being used that I think if used just right on the dot can be very beneficial to whoever happens to be running shelter operations. There is a great interest in the community for a no-kill or low-kill shelter. A good shelter is one that does a great job at networking the animals and working to actively work at adopting the animals, as well as having a good, robust foster program. When I first got involved, I was floored to discover that there actually is not a 501c3 in Wexford County, not a legitimate one. So when it comes to fostering those animals, proper paperwork trail, transferring ownership of the animals from shelter to a foster, there are some areas of growth that we can experience from how business has been done to how it could be done. And this is strictly based on review of records, me having that opinion. I know in speaking with the Board of Commissioners, we've come to you with concerns and stories about animals at the shelter who've not received necessary vet care. We're talking about emergency vet care. I love the fact that I'm hearing in Manistee that they also do the spay-neuter. If you were to look at the numbers, the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, they put the numbers of how many cats and dogs that come in. It also includes ferrets. How many come in, how many are euthanized, how many are adopted, how many are transferred meaning to a different program. I think we should all be appalled and disgusted and embarrassed by the high rate of euthanization that we have in our county. We are better than this, and with the current funding that we've had, we should be better. And this isn't about providing these animals a deluxe opportunity to have a home away from home. This is about meeting their needs, providing good care, and being a good ambassador to those taxpayer dollars, and a good ambassador providing these animals a second opportunity at a new start. I think good customer service is paramount. I think when you walk into a building, the ambiance of the building, the customer service with which you're welcomed makes a big difference in terms of if it is a family-friendly and well-received building in the community. I think, depending on who you ask, folks have differing opinions about their experiences, but I've certainly heard enough from folks who talk about, less than desirable experiences they've had at the shelter. And I think with a few changes, maybe good personnel, having people who are engaged and engageable, and maybe even some changes to the facility, I think there's a great opportunity to enhance the operations. Hours of operation. Right now, our shelter is only open noon till 4, Monday through Friday. That doesn't give people a lot of opportunity to come in and adopt the animals. You really need a shelter that's going to operate after 5 p.m. when most people get out of work, and also having some hours of operation available on the weekends, whether it's just on Saturday or Saturday and Sunday. True, this is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week operation, but I also am willing to acknowledge that folks need a day of rest, and if being open on Saturday is the solution for weekend hours, I'm very comfortable with that. Some shelters also have some animals that kind of roam about in their building. Again, this helps to foster the setting of a more home-like, a more family-friendly, more approachable environment. We're looking at optimizing use of resources, whether those are taxpayer dollars, financial donations, blankets, hammocks. I know that since this has started, donations have come into the shelter, and so I'm appreciative that this added awareness has helped to boost donations that have come in. But I think it's also important, if you want to maintain that donation stream, if you want to maintain an engaged public, that those resources be used adequately. Folks are going to give up on you if you give up on the animals and if you give up on them. When blankets are donated and folks go in and they don't see these nice things they've contributed, when they don't see these things being used, you're missing the boat and you're doing a disservice to everybody involved. Proper contracts, whether it's through the local Baker College, having a vet that you work with routinely for those emergency vetting needs or even the routine spay and neuters. I think having consistent follow-up on spay neuter when someone is, when a critter is adopted, if there is a contract that not fixed animal has to be spayed or neutered, there really needs to be follow-up on that. It continues to be a county responsibility to make sure that the adopter has done what they were supposed to and held up their end of the deal. This is paramount in helping to reduce the cat and dog overpopulation that we have in our county. I think a good shelter does not have a pit bull ban. Certainly, I'm well aware of some breed-specific discrimination that occurs in various cities, counties, states, but a good shelter would not have a pit bull ban. And adherence to the state regulations. I think collaboration is an important key. Collaboration with the municipalities within your county. Collaboration with the Sheriff's Department, Animal Control. And having a good volunteer network. Those are the things that we see as what is a good shelter. We did also kind of go through what are some ideal things and what are some real things. And certainly depending upon funding, that also bears influence on what can and cannot be done. I know that there have been a couple of organizations that have expressed interest in stepping forward and considering taking over the shelter. So I do think that there is an opportunity here. I know that educational outreach will be also important when we look at working with the public and helping to reduce the prolific reproduction of the cats and dogs in our county. A trap, neuter, and release, trap, neuter, and release program, which it sounds like Manistee County has their own program for. And communication with the public, whether that's via an internet website, whether that's through emails, whether that's through having their budget. I think it's valuable to have the budget put on the county website, because that's to whom they're accountable, so that folks can see that there's transparency and there's accountability for the use of the funds and the donations. Again, keeping that public engaged and maintaining the trust with your public. I did have, I know just a couple of quick questions, and I know this isn't necessarily an opportunity to interact, but one of my questions, because I know we've got a city building and this is a county ordinance, what would be the responsibility of the city as the landlord in terms of like maintenance and repairs? And I believe I've gotten this answer before, but I just want to confirm, would the city be willing to allow a different organization to come in and rent that facility? As well, I think there are some needed changes that would best benefit this service, some needed changes to the shelter facilities. And would the city be amenable to there being changes? I'm not necessarily saying at your guys' expense. Feel free to offer money if that's what you want to do. But for example, if a 501c3 is able to secure donations and a workforce, whatever, at expanding it, whether it's putting fencing around so that there's a frolic about area for the dogs, would the city allow there to be changes to the physical facility? Certainly when we look at having an organization come in, they're going to make those decisions based on what do I have to work with, how workable is this, is this building even something I can work with? And as well, you know, what is the funding? I'm a little concerned that for a 501c3 to step in out of the gate and there be no county funding, I'm trepidatious because this is all so new what we're going through. I think that some county funding would be necessary.
Geez, what happened here 9 years ago? I wish you'd go to these places. I wish you'd go see Chairman. I wish you'd go see Manistee. I went to see ours, and I felt that I had to step in bleach after I left to make sure my dogs were safe. This is not going to happen overnight. I mean, it's going to take a whole county turning around their ideas of what has happened. We want to talk about the past, and I don't blame you. But again, Wexford County looks to be like the poor, retarded, redheaded stepchild that's been hanging out in the cave for the last 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, in this issue. It looks like sometimes Wexford County's been hanging in that cave on a lot of issues. You know, why don't you guys get out? I mean, the city, it's just their building. They've never been involved. I don't know. Les sicked them on Bill sicked them on Les, but if I remember, is this the first time you guys have ever really gotten together in one place at the same time? I know there's been a lot of joint meetings, but is this the first joint meeting between the city and the county on an issue, or in a while, ever? Or
I think so.
I say I don't give out compliments. Holy camole! That's up there with Moses parting the water and said our, you know, thank you. Thank you very much. I hope it can happen again, because apparently you guys could be in the same room without, you know, yelling at each other. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Linda Gottlob. I'm Director of Mindful Farm Animal Shelter and Commissioner of the city. Hear me now? Anyway, we are a nonprofit organization. We were founded in the year 2000, so we've had some experience running animal shelters. I currently have a 10-acre farm in Lebanon County, but we work with different counties. The student comes from Pomeranians from Hampton County every day. But I am very, very interested, I'm speaking on behalf of our group, they could all make announcements, in helping you, whether it's on a volunteer basis or contractual basis. As Camille mentioned, Best Friends Organization is the premier organization, and we take great pride in modeling our shelters. When I say our shelters, I work with Chicago Ambulance Society, Napa County in Atlanta, and in Florida.
You mind just taking the mic off and go ahead and speaking right into it? People in the back can't hear you, but if anyone cannot hear as we move through, just raise your hand. That will help you.
Anyway,
Could you repeat your name too for our...
Linda Gottlob, G-O-T-T-W-A-L-D.
Thank you very much.
Mindful Farm in Lebanon County. Anyway, we've had some experience running shelters, and we model them after Best Friends. And as Camille said, that is just, if you ever have a chance to go out west, gorgeous setting and a great place, and it's very inspirational. I personally have dealt with Gregory Castle, who's one of the founders there, where you've got community involvement, where you've got animals in playgroups, cats in the office. It's very different for your old town. I guess there's several ways to put this into action, and I think we talked about working with animal control, working as a separate entity with animal control, becoming animal control. We've done both. I'm a certified animal control officer. I'm a euthanasia tech, also nurse practitioner. But, you know, tell us what you want. We'll try to get it. We're eager. We're excited. You've got a great group here of people. From what I've seen in the community, I think you've got the potential for fundraising. We've got questions on our hand. Our liability insurance is coming up. It's annual. We've got board of directors insurance, and I need to answer some questions to my board members on what our role would be with your building. And I assume it's the city's building. You have the liability. In Florida, we have flood insurance. I don't know if you need that here or not, but you know, general liability, trip and fall, dog bites. These are questions we'd like to work out. And I guess this evening I'm asking anybody in the community who would be interested in joining forces or becoming advisory board or sharing us, or we can help you with our 501c3. We've done that in the past with other groups. Please let me know. And for your board members and city members, if you would give me an opportunity or a chance to meet with one or two or three of you so we can ask these questions. You know, I see no reason why you can't put this in motion, and I kind of like to strike the iron's hot. You know, you've got the passion now, you've got the movement, and I think you've got a great potential for fundraising. But I need to get a little bit of guidance from you as commissioners as a time frame, as to the insurance questions, and what you expect from us. So, any questions?
Did you put a bid into the county already or a proposal?
It wasn't a formal bid, it was a proposal with a lot of wiggle room based on what we can figure out with the months. A couple of things I wanted to reiterate. We're no-kill. Some of our policies which we have found worked in the past. We don't charge when people drop off animals because we find that they just dump them otherwise. Opening weekends, Melissa mentioned, it's a great idea because you get people in and after hours. And Saturday used to be our busiest day. And the other thing that I would like to see in place, absolutely no animal leaves without being spayed or neutered. And we have, I've been in contact with vets that hold seminars on pre-pubescent spay neuter. You can spay and neuter a kid in that 7 or 8 weeks as long as it's 2 pounds. Same thing with cats. I just do not have much faith in people coming back to get a $25 deposit when it's 200 or 300 to spay your animal. And that way they're out the door when they're ready and you don't have your problem. I think I told Commissioner Howie, eventually, you know, the goal of every animal shelter is to put yourself out of business. And the one thing we need is spay and neuter. We just put in a bid. I haven't heard from it. I don't think it's going to get it. But try. There's a veterinarian in Ohio who's selling a spay and neuter van. And my dream would be to travel all over the state and expand in communities where this is needed. Not interfere with normal vet's business, but having a spay and neuter there once or twice a month for cats or for people who are in farms and farm cats or people like this. I mean, when I say you have fears that she's not a cat, it's not hers, but she wants to get taken care of. Those are some of our ideas. I'd love to get a chance to talk with you in person, city and county people. And again, if you could give us some guidance so I can go back in the next few weeks or so and tell my board and my insurance company what we might be looking at in the future. So, or I can let this, I don't know, legally where you are with opening it up for bids or if you're union contracts, these are things we'd like some answers for. But again, I think you guys have the greatest potential. You've got a great location, you've got the land, you've got the passion, and I'd like to help your animals.
Thank you, Linda.
Question. When you do your space, it needs to be free, you know, should we contract with certain veterinary services for that, or how do you work that out?
We have certain vets that will do a group rate, like we've got the Pomeranians from Antrim County. We kind of share the well, but not pay the same vet over and over again, but we got a fairly reasonable price of $70 for the males and $120 for the females, which we can, you know, adopt those guys out and make them some cost in that. What we would envision, what we used to do, is we had 1 or 2 vets that would work with us, and they would bring students down from Florida City. And we had our own clinic at that time, and we would do 50 or 60 a day, $11.25 for a tomcat, $18.75 for a female cat, and I think the top was 40 for a female and beef. Bam, 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 50 or 60 a day. It makes up, it's worthwhile for them. They go home with enough money to make it worth the trip to Miami. And then the community gets a massive amount of sterilization done. I don't, I'm hoping we get this done, but if we don't, I can almost foresee setting up a clinic somewhere around here. And again, you've got to have that delicate balance where you're not interfering with your local vet's business. But I think there's enough farm cats and dogs and cats from the shelter that would not otherwise be altered. And with some grant money and some of the different folks.
I have a question. When you submitted your proposal, what was the amount for your budget? What would you be opting?
Well, we have some back and forth.
Yeah, you submitted that
We-
for some.
Yeah, we had come up with 104,000. That was looking at Tuesday through Sunday, 10 in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening. One full-time, one part-time employee, and that's including their health insurance, liability insurance, payroll tax, workers' comp, which is always an issue with animal control workers. And that was a $15,000 allowance for vet services and fees, pharmaceuticals. That was the whole shebang.
That had nothing to do with animal control, strictly the
That was
operation.
strictly the operation.
Just the operation.
The only question I have, and that's why we've got some wiggle room here, I don't know what your city would expect in terms of liability insurance. The reality is, somebody bites, it's high liability, obviously, and does that fall upon the city or the group that's operating it?
Hi, I'm Marcus, city manager. Just simply going off of the current lease agreement in place with the city and the county, all of the liability responsibilities are on the leasee, which would be the county.
The contract, the county or
Correct, the county.
Okay, but if, at this time, so if we leased the building from you for a nominal fee of $1 a year or something, we would cover the liability insurance?
Correct.
Okay.
You spoke about the ACO officer. How much does an ACO officer cost per year?
We paid ours in Florida, roughly 30,000, 30 to 35,000. You throw in the liability insurance. They had workers' comp coverage. They had minimal health coverage. It's probably about 40,000. With your fringes, with your health, we had a 401k as well.
Okay, and what is their specific job?
When we used them, and I'm certified here, so we were on call 24/7. Typically, in the county we were at, it was a heavy drinking party county. You got a call at 2 in the morning, the sheriff stopped somebody for DUI, there's a dog in the car, come get the dog. Or a dog's been hit by a car, or this was a community that had a lot of people living on houseboats. This was fun by stuff. Go out on the boats with the Marine Patrol, and when people were evicted or didn't come home, we often got calls of dogs and cats abandoned on boats and buildings. But we also got dog bite investigations, abandoned dogs, dangerous dogs, dogs in my car.
Out of those investigations, what was your role in the investigation?
We were totally separate from the county. We had to hire our own attorney and go to court with cruelty cases.
So it wasn't, you did not have to call the sheriff?
No, well, the sheriff would call us.
Okay.
Anything animal related,
Cruelty cases?
cruelty case, nuisance dog, loose dog was that was common.
So that's all done by you guys?
We did it all, right.
Okay.
Anything with an animal, even a dead animal, on the road, we had to pick up the dead animal.
Okay, my other question is, I live in Petoskey, further north
Right.
of us. And in Emmett County, if you register your animal, the following year, they automatically send you a bill or license. We don't currently do that in Emmett County. Would you guys also follow up with licenses? Do you guys do that?
I don't know how you've done it historically. I would suspect it would probably be the practice. What we did was we licensed dogs, more as an assurance they have the rabies license. And that gave us a nice tool to avoid a long court case. Quite often, if I saw a dog that I suspected was being abused,
sent to me when it's license time, so I don't have to scramble.
Oh, so you don't, yeah. Well, absolutely, that's where we were. When you went in for your annual rabies shot, they would sign your license right there. They would remind you, hey, what you have to have. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
I'm Donna Weaver. I am from Wexford County. I live here, right here in Township. And I had the pleasure of hearing Governor Engler about a week and a half ago. And he really commends Wexford County on how good of a collaboration we have between the businesses, the schools, the not-for-profits. We have so many cool things going on in our county. Right now, the Rotary is restoring and redoing the pavilion, and I know that the city is involved with collaborations on that. We have what's called the Cadillac Leadership. They are redoing the Daybreak adult foster care. Even our floor, I mean, look at this Wexford County floor. There was a collaboration about 10 years ago to restore this. I'm super excited to hear about the collaborations that are going to be moving forward from this meeting tonight. I'm super excited to find out what part everybody's going to have play in this collaboration going forward. And looking at the views and the possibilities. I'm extremely proud to be a Wexford County resident, a tax-paying resident, and I'm super proud of what's going to happen going forward. And as much as we are going to look back, we do have to look back to understand what's going to happen in the future. So I want you guys to open up your eyes and your hearts, and maybe even your wallets today, and think about what we can do to collaborate on going forward for a no-kill shelter, for new operations. I don't know how that's going to look or what part I'm going to play, but I know as a business person in this community, I'm super excited to move forward with that. And I don't want to look back. I don't want to have sour grapes. But again, we have to address these things and kind of look back to look forward. So with that, I want to say if we have the right people and the right focus and do it right now, we're really going to make this a possibility for our whole county. And we can take pride in that once again, where we've kind of not had much pride looking backwards. So thank you guys for all your hard work in advance.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm not going to use the microphone. Good evening, everybody. My name is Alex Sanders. I'm a resident of Cadillac. And this is my first meeting, and you kind of have an idea of what's going on, but I want to tell them. Essentially, no breastfeeding now. Okay, so my wife and I decided we wanted to get a dog. I thought the shelter was a good idea, save a life, and all that good stuff. So on the third one, the Wexford Animal Shelter, and we looked around for dogs and found one. It was a German Shepherd Husky mix, about a year and a half old. And we had the opportunity to either foster it then for 7 days to see how it worked in the family, or to write out adopt it. We decided the best choice to get fostered because we have obviously the 2 kids, and to see how it would do at our house. And everything went fine. And the dog was sitting in great, we walked it was a little skinny. Other than that, the mannerisms were fine. Took it to the vet on the 6th, to Dr. Witt, who's out on 20 Mile. Some people might be familiar with him. And he checked her all over, and essentially, long story short, she tested positive for heartworms. Kind of jumping the gun here, but tested positive for heartworms and told us our options. And also, while conducting this checkup, he told us that she was already spayed, which I had brought to his attention that I was suspicious of because she had a blue mark on her, like a tattoo. And I said, well, I didn't come organically, so something had to have been done. And per the animal shelter, we thought that on adoption, it would be our responsibility to figure it out. So I guess we were a little bit surprised because it was already done, but we weren't told it was already done. And then, of course, the heartworm test. And the main reason I'm here, and the question I have, is how come they're not tested before being available for adoption? That's kind of the cut and dry. And I know the Misaki Animal Shelter on Hope Lake Road, They do the heartworm and a bunch of other stuff before you can take it out. My main concern with the heartworm is I understand, some of it's got to be the owner's deal, some of it's theirs, so if you have to be raised when they're older, owner responsibility, that's understandable. But the main thing is the heartworm. So now the situation that my family has is we have a dog in our house, and my oldest one likes it. Of course, she'll deal with that, but she likes it, and my wife likes it, and now we're faced with, now we have to turn to the animal shelter, and we already spent the time to do this, and the money to get a check, which charges a good rate, but still you're out the money just to find out you really can't have it. Because for us to do the heartworm treatment isn't financially viable, and it might not even make it through it, as many of us know. It's a risky deal. And the other thing that this lady here said earlier about the hours being open, my thing is they weren't open today, and they had a sign that said not today and not on Thursday. But my wife got a hold of them on Facebook. If they're, I don't do that Facebook yet, but I guess there is one for the county shelter. Got up with somebody there and said, "What's the deal?" And she said, "I'll just call you because she wants to put this all out on the internet." So she calls her and she says, "Well, we're not open today. You have to bring it in tomorrow." And which is fine. The dog's doing what it does. It's not a problem in the house. But the issue is now we have it still. It has to wait another day before any treatment. Will most likely use euthanasia, which I don't want to get everybody up in arms here, but if it has to be done, that's the reality. If the dog ain't gonna make it, you have to do that thing, and that's it. And essentially, that's pretty much it. I don't want to take everybody's time, but now we have this dog. We can't take them today because they're not open. Although I do know someone was there. Someone has to be able to feed and housing for these dogs. So if you have a special case like this, how come someone like us who has to snipe our dog in foster can't bring it back and talk to somebody? Perhaps not be open for adoptions or viewing, but could they at least be open? In this case, hey, we have this thing to get up to this problem. At least during business hours. Nothing outside the ordinary with the 12 or 4. So that's pretty much it. Right? I guess what I propose is if before they're either adoptable or ready for adoption or ready for fostering, they can at least have that done. Because if that would have been done, I think first of all, the shelter wouldn't have had a house and feed it this whole time, however long she's been there, because they could already been dealt with at the beginning. Or a family of us could potentially have this and then already have it. Now it's a new kind of situation. Anybody has any questions? I sort of talked in circles, but I don't want to keep it long-winded. I mean, these kids are doing real good. So, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's part of the meeting.
Hi, I'm Betty Lloyd. I'm the president of Care of Clare County. And Michelle Cope, she's the vice president. We're here today to let you guys know that we're interested in taking over the county. In the past couple weeks, I've been nonstop running my laptop, phone, house phone dead, making phone calls like crazy. Doing a lot of research, reading. I've been doing a lot of research and reading, making phone calls, just trying to figure out what it takes to run a shelter the right way and no kill, of course. Talking to Deborah Shutt from the No Kill Coalition, kind of picking brains from Lake Terry, the director of Roscommon County Animal Shelter, Jill from HACS program in Mount Pleasant, she's the director from HACS. I've just been learning because this is all new to me, but I do care, I take care of care and all of our fosters, and I network with everybody every day, so I figured if I can do that, I can learn how to do everything else. But it's going to take me some time. And I have a great team, a group, that we're working with, and together I think we can all make it work. And Michelle's a trainer. We have a lot of great ideas. I think that we can all make this with the foster program. We can all utilize all the resources that we have at our fingertips and work together to do this. But we're going to need help from you guys. We can't do it all by ourselves, not with fundraising right now, because we are on limited funds. So we would need the county's help for tax money.
just so, like, gentlemen that just spoke, you know, people can come there, with us. Do our fundraisers, special events, you know, bring people there, make them feel welcome. We're gonna have to move animals, use our foster program. We're going to train the ones that might have some leash problems that, you know, need some basic obedience. And that's where Michelle's going to come in. My daughter and I have some training ability. We're all gonna work together to do that. I'll let Michelle kind of tell you guys about what she has planned for the training, after they're adopted. But we are definitely interested.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to leave. I promised my wife it's her birthday and I take her out for something. I hate to do this, but I have to do it.
That's fine. Actually, better.
We don't have room at the pound, so exactly.
Hello, my name is Michelle Franklin. I do dog training and I do run it in Clare County. I've been working with Betty and coming up here. I do house calls in the area. But with what's going on, my biggest thing is to get the training done. So that way if you have a little puppy that's nipping or something like that, it's not going to come back to yourself. Or if you have people that are in there able to, you know, have the volunteers. I'm willing to go in there and train the volunteers to help the dog so that when you're walking up, you're not being drugged by a 130-pound Rottweiler. You can somewhat help by training the dog. Even if you're just taking it potty, knowing how to walk it is going to help it find a better home. Because that way when that doctor comes in and they're looking at that dog, they're not going to be drugged 5 miles down the road. So working with the training, and I'm coming to you guys today saying I'm willing to come in there and help volunteer, work along with CARE. I am the Vice President of CARE, teaching classes. And some of it would go to myself, some of it would go to the shelter. So it would be another fundraiser available to the shelter. So as the dogs are coming in and learning, there are shelters also making money doing classes. And that way, little foo-foo that's barking at the neighbor's dog isn't going to come back because your neighbor's yelling at foo-foo's barking at 2 o'clock in the morning. We will teach them how to stop that and make it affordable in the community so it's not something enormous. I know there is places out there, but the reason I get a lot of phone calls is because it's so expensive. So make it affordable. That way the public can come in, they can get the training done, and it's affordable for them to do, and it's able for them to do and welcome them to come into the shelter.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about CARE?
Here,
Yeah.
we originally started in Clare County to help our own community. And we get phone calls and emails every day. So unless I don't want to answer my phone, it will go up until sometimes 10, 11 o'clock at night if I let it. We rescue animals. We rescue dogs and cats. Yeah. I have 3 fosters at home right now that are my own fosters. And then we do home checks. We vet them all. They're all spayed, neutered, microchipped, heartworm tested, fecal tested. They're all vetted, completely vaccinated, rabies, everything that they need. When people adopt, they get all their medical records. We keep copies of them on hand. That way we have proof that what they got, you know, they have that. Now if they're puppies, we charge a $100 deposit plus the adoption fee of $150. When it comes time for them to get spayed or neutered, we know they're going to come back to their $100. And we will come and remind them it's time for them to be spayed or neutered, you know. So we'll kind of walk them through. Do you want us to help you with the vet appointment? We'll try to offer them to go to, like Harrison, we use Surrey Vet. We'll even offer to do a low cost spay or neuter for them, just so that we're pushing them to get them spayed or neutered, and then they get their deposit back.
What percentage of them don't get the deposit back?
We haven't had it happen.
If you stay on it and you have a vet in the area, the biggest thing would be using your vets in the area and getting them on board to do a spay and neuter or do something have a day that you have it at the shelter so they can or some facility somewhere else.
get dogs off of death row. 90% of it is pit bulls. So, yeah.
So a lot of the rescue you do is from the shelter.
And we get a lot from before they go to the shelter. I've had anything from Pomeranians to St. Bernard, Labradoodles, but mostly, like I said, 90%.
And are most of yours referred by the county or?
Well, it's for people, like, we do events and people find out that we're there, or they see us in the newspaper. And
What I think Betty is also trying to say here is she does a lot of the networking for Blair County as far as giving foster care for these animals instead of having them stay in the shelter. She's finding homes for these animals, and that's really one of the big parts of a shelter is you need a network. And that's a service that she offers in Blair County.
yeah, what we do is we find fosters are kind of like, they're temporary homes. And say you would foster for us, so we would go and find a dog for you to foster. But before it went into your home, we would take it to the vet and they would get spayed or neutered, all their vaccinations, heartworm tested, fecal tested. They would be all taken care of medically. And then we would take them to you and you would foster them. And we would have adoption events. And so until that dog gets adopted, then you would just kind of show it love and everything. Now we provide food and, like flea preventative and all the heartworm preventatives and stuff while you're fostering. It doesn't cost you nothing. You just open your heart and your home to them. So that's what foster program is about. I have a foster agreement out there.
Sounds like the best way to own a dog.
It's great for people that don't get attached to them.
But it also helps.
So much for you.
It also helps the animal because it socializes the animal. And
Yeah.
then you also have yourself
Yes,
that
doing-
you'll come to the home and also work with the
Yeah,
animal
work
too
with the
to
animal,
socialize
yeah.
the animal.
So that way, if you have a problem and stuff like that, where if it was in a shelter, like they spoke before, it'll be scared, it'll be whatever. If it's in a home environment, then it's gonna be more apt to work with, so I do a lot of that. And that's why I even work with the shelter in Clare and do the classes and stuff like that.
That's why a lot of people go through rescues, is because they know that if they're a rescue, the rescue is just fosters. And if they're in a foster home, you'll never find a foster home that doesn't have other animals in there. They either have cats or dogs or both. So then you have the dogs that are cat friendly and dog friendly. Some of them like birds, or whatever and stuff. So if people come to rescues because they know that the dogs have been socialized. So that's one of the main reasons why they come to rescues. Oh yeah. Yeah, and we actually pulled 2 cats from Wexford. Well, I'm on the subject. That needed bedding. That are now in fosters. One had a gunshot wound in her shoulder, and the other one had a big, what was that called? Sonoma under his leg, or her leg. There was a sex thing that they didn't know exactly if it was a boy or a girl. But it had a big ball of sonoma under her leg. And we pulled from Wexford County and got them bedded and got them into fosters. So, but that's what we do. And then we pulled death row. I pulled Chance, which is another death row dog from Wexford. He was classified as a pit bull. He looks to me like a beagle on steroids. Same colors. I'm not even kidding you. This dog is a humongo beagle. He is huge. But he was classified as a pit bull and they wanted to put him down. And I pulled him. And he's at my house still. He's a wonderful dog and he can't hold his litter. He's just one big slaughter ball. But that's how our foster program works. So, any more questions?
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Anyone else?
own a pit bull. His name is Tank, he's 4 years old. If anything were to ever happen to him, I would go to a shelter and look for another one. If we didn't have one that I had already bought one, there are a lot of people out there that will own them. They're great dogs, and I feel no need for there to be a ban on the street. Another thing is that, it's not their fault that they come into the shelter. Maybe the owners can't have them, so they bring them in. It's not their fault that they were brought in, so they shouldn't be put on that list to be euthanized right away, or should be ignored as being an adoptable dog. The ones that we have in our house, highly adoptable, great dogs, fully house-grown, very well behaved, and they were the ones on death row, ready to be killed. These dogs are perfect. I find no need for there to be a ban on this breed. And you guys aren't the only ones that have it, but if care takes it over, we're the ones that want to live for that. It's not needed. So that's what I would say.
Can I get your name for the record?
Alyssa Lloyd.
Thank you, Alyssa.
I'm a former choir director, so I'll get right on the mic. I know how to use these things. Right here. Anyway, I too want to really piggyback what Donna said tonight. Thank you for coming together and addressing the situation. And I just want to say that there are many people sitting in this room tonight, and I know that I can probably speak for all of us. We are willing and we are able to put feet and hands to the action to help out in any way that we can, whether it's on a steering committee or it's on a group, a community group. I just know that if you ask people, they will be willing to serve in that capacity, as would I. And I saw the trainer from CARE. I saw what she does with her dog, and she is an excellent trainer. And I had the privilege of meeting a lot of people in this room. So as you listen to the people tonight, we also, I believe I speak for all of us, we want you to know we will put feet to the action of this. When you need us, please ask for our input and ask for our help if it comes to a point of final decision making. And I appreciate the outside groups that grew up in Onekamas, like from Madison County. I appreciate the people that have come in tonight also. But please call on us, because I, for one, would be willing to help us serve a steering committee of some sort if it comes to that point. Thank you. Judy Nichols, here in Township.
Anyone else?
I've been taking notes here, so I have a few more things I just want to add. One thing that is really important for us, we have a wonderful relationship with our vets. We use about 4 different vets to the one question here before about kind of spreading around the wealth in the state. Depending on how many puppies we have, sometimes we go down to Grand Rapids, down to C-SNF. So we do have several vets that do that. But one of our vets, Parkdale Vet, for the past 6 years has had a food matching program for us. So when people want to donate food to us, we send them over to Parkdale, they weigh it all out and see how many cans they have, and they double that, they match it for us. We haven't had to buy food in 6 years. And we have a lot of animals that go through a lot of food. We just topped with them, it was just the beginning of the year, 30,000 pounds of food and over 3,000 cans that have been donated to us. So we're very fortunate that way, that definitely helps the budget. So the breed issue, do not believe in breed bans. There is not a dangerous breed. There are only dangerous individual dogs, and the owners are responsible for that, not the animals. We do have a lot of pets, and some of them kind of get looked over because of their breed. But when you get them outside, we do have, going back to the building question, we have a huge yard. The animals can run around it. They do have the guillotine doors on their kennels so they can go out. During the day, they can run back and forth. Obviously, people walk the dogs and the cats. As soon as everything is clean and the floor is dry, we open all the crates and they're running all over the place in their rooms. And we have about a half a dozen that are out front that are breeders that roam around and occasionally will bring some puppies up front too. So we try to make it very light and bright, and we have a lot of compliments on our shelter when people come up. It's very clean, it's light, it's bright, and now we're looking at adding on a cat room that's a 3-season room for them. We tried the credit for the spay and neuter. It didn't work, maybe because we weren't charging $100 and we were only charging $50. It didn't work, so that's why we take on responsibility to spay and neuter everybody in the age. We do sell dog licenses. We help out doing that for the county. We get $1 for every license that we sell. And then we also have some volunteers. We have a lot of volunteers, but we have a particular couple that are trainers. They come out a couple times a week to work with some of the dogs, including the kids that are just a little rambunctious, and they're making great headway with them. And just unfortunately, some of those dogs that are wonderful dogs, they just can't be around other dogs, so we have to go into a home where there's only money on what which is done. So, but I agree with the statement about the pits. They are wonderful dogs. They're very loving and very loyal dogs if they're handled properly. Usually when we adopt out a pit, we want to make sure that that person has had a pit before or has got a great dog experience so they understand how strong of a breed that is. It's a different kind of power, and it's just the way you deal with a breed that's that muscular powerful. So they're really tough. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Anyone else wanting to speak? This is the public hearing. We appreciate any and all citizen input.
Seeing no one moving forward, we will close the public comment.
All right, we're going to close our public.
And make public hearing.
Thank you. We're going to close our public hearing too. Chairman, Chair.
I don't know if we need another public comment. We just have public comment.
What we usually do after we close public, once we close the public hearing, we would then turn it over to the board and have the board discuss it this morning. So I'd like to do that before we get to public comments again.
Yeah, we just had public comments. We'll go on to board comments, board discussion.
Okay.
What's that? Public hearing. Public hearing.
I like it. As part of the public hearing, I think it's important now that we have the board discussion, because we've heard from the public. As part of the public hearing is, I think, after we hear from the public, we talk a little bit. We have some questions posed to us today. I'm not going to speak for the city, but I want to agree if we allow a nonprofit to take it over, I think our board would have absolutely no problem with that possibility. We haven't voted on it. We haven't discussed it really. But we're very flexible and open. This lease has been going for, I think, around 40 years. I think you owe us like $40 because we've never really asked for it. Sorry.
Told you it was early.
I'll give you $5 first. We'll settle for $5. My point is, we've not looked at the deed much, the lease at all, because it's been autopilot, at least since the county took this over. Which was, the county wanted to, and wanted to have a village, run the program. So we backed out of it. We just had this facility there, and we've had basically, as far as I know, 92 is when the agreement came out. So it's not quite 41. Our role is minimal. As far as a nonprofit, I think we're open to almost anything. We would like to see it improved, and we're not going to stand in the way of that. Changes in the building. You want to comment on the first one? And this is Mr. Petcher, by the way, our city manager. And 4 of us are here tonight. Our 5th member couldn't make it. He had to work. We had a meeting till midnight last night. Went from 5 o'clock, so if we act a little daffy, that's why. Unusually daffy.
Unusually daffy. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, members of the County Board of Commissioners. Just a brief framework to try to address some of the questions that were brought forward this evening. With respect to the facility itself and the land that the facility is on, I am aware of at least one occurrence in which there were improvements made to the building, went through our normal process to plan review, and were approved accordingly. And so I would expect that if there were future needs for improvements to the building, improvements whether they're additions, subtractions, or whatnot to the property itself, whether it's fencing or other such issues, that those would go through our normal processes for approval. We do permit fencing, so we go through, for instance, that normal process, and would be approved accordingly. With respect to responsibilities as a landlord, I know that was a question that was asked as well. Simply going off of the latest lease agreement that the city and the county had together back from 1992, essentially all of the responsibilities for the maintenance of the facility, for the insurance, for everything, is put upon the leasee. The city is the lessor, the county is the leasee. I would expect that likely in a future agreement, whether it's with the county again, and the county then has the ability of assigning the lease to a third party, or if it's an agreement that's simply between the city and another agency, or maybe it's a tri-party agreement between the city, another agency, and the county, then again, the liability issues and such would be put on the folks operating, or a combination between the folks operating and the folks leasing the facility from the city, which is not unique in other areas where we lease facilities.
Thanks, Marcus. I just wanted to mention, there was a question at our point about money. I think I'd like to explain the board. They have a 9-member board. 6 are here tonight. Thank you for coming, by the way, and accepting our invitation. As a result of Mr. Chair's overtures. We represent actually the same people that they do. Other than, there's 3 commissioners from the city. 2 are here, Mr. Mitchell and Commissioner Taylor. Thanks for coming. Commissioner Devereaux, 3rd from the city. But we're inside the county. The county's a big circle. We're in here in the corner. There's 10,000 of us. There's 33 in the whole county. Similar to the airport, where there's a 60-40 split, and the city pays 40, the county pays 60, or vice versa. City residents are paying twice there, because not only do we pay city taxes as city residents, we also pay county taxes. And we're paying our fair share, our 1/3 of the county speaking for our city residents, that comes out of their wallets. They're paying as city residents already. Every one of the township residents are paying as well, municipalities. It's across the board. There's a county tax. Everybody pays fairly their portion. If there's an arrangement that we have, and I'm not sure why it's like that at the airport, the city taxpayers are paying twice. They're paying once as the city taxpayer, and the second time is the county, when it's 60-40. So that's an arrangement where we do pay twice. It's not currently in place here for animal control. We like that. We see it as a county-wide service. And there was a request or a comment regarding making the city chip in. I just want everyone to know we are, and it is in our neck of the woods, and it's close to the sheriff's department where they're located, and it has the potential to continue to work and better than it has. And the city is, I think, willing to keep having this building used, and we're not opposed to changes. Marcus, did you think we paid for those changes that were made to the structure?
No, we do not pay.
But we approved them.
Well, we approved them. And who paid for them? Do you recall? Was it the county?
County paid for it, the county.
Okay. So when the county pays, the city is part of that paycheck.
And the lease is Mayor mentioned $1, I think $1.
It's symbolic, and it's teasing, and it has gone on since 92. We're happy to wait for that.
So generous.
I'm going to make some mentions of what I envision. We've had a lot of people in the audience today speaking on behalf of the community and also on behalf of the city and the county. What I would like to see happen, or I envision, is I would open myself up and say I would like to be a part of a board that can come back to the county board of commissioners and say, we have come to decisions, this is what we want to do, this is what we're foreseeing that is going to take place. Either that be closing the facility, or that being switching over to 501(c) or whatever. I would like to see another member of this board and maybe one of the cities be on that, or 2 of the cities be on that, and I'd like to get out of the business and let somebody else take it over. I think that there's a fair amount of judgment that goes on with some people that have contacted me that, you know, they want to see new people there because they feel that they're not treated well when they go in there. I know we have contracts, but we can break those contracts. You can't tell me we can't. They know darn well we can. I'd like to see this move forward, and I'd like to put together a board if I could, and come back to this board in 30 days of what we'd like to see done. Is there any possibility of that, Mr. Chair?
What is it?
We can take a look at it.
I guess I'd like to say a few more things, I'll give everyone else a chance, but I think the shelter should be run by a nonprofit group. They can send it, find an appropriate group, but there's going to be a funding question. We are very concerned, I would say on behalf of the city, that your millage money is going to run out. It's our millage money too. And we see no plan to resurrect the animal control shelter. I think that the confidence and trust can be rebuilt, and it's not totally unfixable. If changes are made, a new proposal is put forward, I think it failed for two reasons. One, you had a lot of money in the bank that the public maybe wasn't aware of. Thankfully, because it's allowed now to run forward, that's one problem. And also possible issues of exactly how the money was being spent, whether it was under animal control or other purposes. In any event, it failed. I think it will pass in the future. I think it's incumbent upon the county to run it again. We would like to help you promote it, do anything we can. But even if you give it away to another entity, the funding source still has to come from each and every citizen. So we're going to need to bring that millage back up. As far as I'm concerned, we don't want to see millage money run out. We'd like you to present another millage to the public, to have it set up differently and explain. Money will not be misspent. Money from the animal control will go to the animals. Money from the millage will go to the nonprofit, X dollars for an officer from the sheriff if they're not able to run the program without that, like Manistee is. But I don't think all hope is lost with the taxpayers on your millage. I think they send a strong message that they didn't pass it because you have money in your pocket and there was a question, right or wrong, that it was being mismanaged financially. So if you were able to get a good nonprofit, you've been included as the recipient on millage money, and have a promise that's not broken to the community, Wexford County community, that the money will be spent on the animals and an animal control officers' expenses and not wasted or mismanaged or misspent. This thing will pass, we'll have a funding source for it, and it will rebuild trust, integrity, and confidence. It's not there. One of the speakers said it's unfixable. Possibly that is the case. The image is unfixably broken, right or wrong. But there certainly are more than just a few people complaining about this. If there's 50 people here, there's probably 500 that are agree with them, or 5,000, who knows. But it's certainly, this is some involvement that we don't usually see from the public. I think we need to take notice of that. That would be my personal proposal. We're here to help out a village. We don't feel it's a city expense. We're already chipping in our fair share. So we don't want your money to run out and this thing to fizzle out, gone. Maybe a way to stop your program and to resurrect it again in another fashion. You do have workers that are there that need to be treated fairly, whatever that is under the circumstances. But if you just let this thing go down, they're going to lose their jobs. This whole thing is going to flatten out, and I'm not sure who's going to pick it up. But it should be, I think, a funding source from the county level. That would include each and every city citizen that owns property as a taxpayer to equally contribute to what should be a wonderful program, a wonderful shelter. I think we're flexible. I'm kind of speaking for the city, and I've got 3 other members that all have things to say, and I bet they're going to agree with me. I hope they do. But that would be my starting point. We'll vote on whatever we need to tonight. You always may speak. There's no need to ask on this side of the table.
First of all,
amount of support from the community and from the experts that have come out. So the resources are here. Many of the resources are here in this room right now. There are other resources outside. I think it's time to, I like your idea of forming a board that could then make recommendations to the county. Ultimately, the decision is going to be you guys, at this point is yours. But one of the things that you could do is call for bids for people who could run it, and for groups to submit real bids, and maybe that board can choose from those bids. Let's see, it looks like we have everything that we need for the transition, because with the care folks, maybe if the shelter closes down to get some some upgrading and step it up, then we can find fostering for the critters that are there now, and then start fresh with, I love Manistee formula. I'd be interested in seeing, you said, who was the one in Chippewa County that does it differently, as a different model? So that board could look at those models and then make an assertion for how to move forward, that the county would like to move forward, and get this show on the road. And then, as Mayor Barnett said, we would support a millage for the transition, for the continued funding toward a efficient, humane, and hopefully someday exemplary shelter. I'm somebody that believes when what hits the fan, it can either make a huge mess or it can be great for life. And at this point, what I see in this room is perfect. So, you know what I'm talking about?
Thank you.
So I think that there's a real good possibility, some real positive things.
Let's say one more thing, and I'll get out of the way again, but the oversight committee is absolutely necessary. There's no place for these folks to come to. They come to the county board.
I'd like to see it go back to the committee structure in the county for recommendations for both here tonight. I would love to see this county have a good 501c3, just like what the other counties need, because they're making things fit for the operation. We had a good, strong local 501c3 nonprofit that wanted to run the shelter. The county led and enforced the second issue. You have the county having enforcement side of the issues. They have the power to arrest. They have the power to this. They have a lot of power. You need to have an animal control officer. They don't have all the power behind them in the state. Gives a sheriff department these skills. So it would be, I'd love to see a strong viable 501c3 step up if we want to run our shelter. Okay, the county has a plan. So we'd be glad to provide enforcement without having to provide significant funds. I would like to see a run like Manistee, where the funding is provided by volunteers and organizations and whatnot, because if you don't pass an animal control bill in this county, the money's not going to be there. And get enough any other, almost another year.
Mr. Chair, would your board be willing to commit tonight to doing an animal control millage and moving forward with that? That's one of our concerns, is the money's running out, and we'd like you to look at raising money on a countywide basis.
Time limitation on how soon you can put a millage back on the balance sheet is repeated twice.
I think it's a 501c3, right? I think several people have said that they're not happy with the way the shelter's being run right now and how it's being operated right now. Until we get a 501c3 or someone else to run that for a while and show that we can do this, and show the public that we know what we're doing, I think we know what we felt. We can make it run and make it work, then we can go back to people and say, it's working. I'm doing a good job, help us out. I think by going now, if we tried to do this now before we changed anything, it would stay focused.
How much money do you have left? What's the ETA for it to close? Because that's where we're heading without a millage.
Let's
recent estimate, we have somewhere around $300,000 still remaining.
How long does that last, if you know?
Depends on what we set in the budget.
Well, the budget's been under 330, because I think that's what you get approximately.
We can probably run over a year yet.
Okay.
Current cost.
So, Commissioner Baldwin's got a good point of working something in and seeing, and proof in the pudding. Either that or have a plan in place with the track record. But his point is well taken. That's going to require fast motion.
My concern with this though is that we have a shelter and we have control. Where does that millage money go? How does it split up?
It would be split, wouldn't it? I don't think the shelter would be $330,000, and as long as it's going to the right place, I think the public will support it. And I would hope so. They take a second look.
I'd be glad to take this back to the executive committee for a recommendation where we go forward with this.
Do you need to go to executive committee before, can you move tonight to, form a steering committee, or is that? I don't know how the board works.
I'd rather run through the committee process myself.
Why?
Like the county operations.
We've been dancing for months about all
Yes.
this. I mean, we should be getting to the point of making decisions.
Well, I think decisions are being made, but there's processes that, I know the county's processes are different than the way the city does things. And I think that it's a good idea to follow procedure to make sure that things are the way they're supposed to be. But I think, I don't know.
It doesn't, things don't always go through committees. If you're going to do that, you can move it along and have quicker meetings. I'm worried the clock's running out and there's been no discussion at the county of redoing your millage and making changes for something that will pass. I will tell you it will pass. The support is out there. Then you make changes. And we'll do whatever we can to help you promote it, and as leaders in our neck of the woods here.
Is this just a hearing, or is this like an official meeting where you could actually vote to appoint somebody to the steering? Because it's not like a committee like the finance committee. This would just be a committee that would look at the next step to then present to your board. Are you able to do that? I'm not asking you, I'm saying are you able?
We probably could. Would there be some way the city interested in being part of that?
Sure.
And we need a couple of members from the community at large.
Sure.
I'm not sure that's smoother.
I think we probably should have a meeting, we should let the public be aware.
Okay, I couldn't hear everything you said over there. If you could repeat, please.
Myself as chair.
Oh, first,
I would just say, we need somebody from the city, we need members from the public, and some from the board of commissioners. That would be just strictly an advisory group at this point in time, that would prepare information. We still need to fall through one of the committees in the county, as to the normal flow of things, but to get things started and get them organized. I think you can have more than that.
we're flexible. We would appreciate, I guess, moving forward with some decision. It sounds like the audience that represents our public here wants some action, at least as to an advisory committee would like to see something move forward. And the committee, Mr. Chair is referring to, doesn't have any authority to vote anything in for the county. It's similar to an advisory committee. They make recommendations. to the full building. That is their usual process, and it does get cumbersome. And you all are here to vote on something tonight. There is a quorum. We have a quorum too. I'd like to vote on a couple things. One, to approve in general the assignment of our lease, and also to, in general, changes to our building. I'm certainly not opposed to that. Making it nicer, there is a way to do that financially from the county. Again, I'm sorry, I can't hear what's being said again. Sorry.
Choking.
Wasn't you? That's all right.
I don't know if you just threw a motion out.
I was thinking of one, and I usually don't do the motions, but
Well, it's okay, if you do, I was just gonna perhaps start out, given the spirit of what you were talking about, maybe the motion could be, that the city council needs to conceptually agree that they'd be willing to consider assignment of in the future, as well as approval of future building, and or property modifications that would, improve, the facilities, as would be presented after our normal review process. I just want to be careful that we don't guarantee.
what? Okay, I think someone asked, why do we have to do that? I think we send a strong message to the county, so there's no questions asked and there's no miscommunication. So that's why I would ask that we do that as our board.
Then I'll make that motion.
Is there support for Ms. Schiffers, Councilmember Schiffers? Sorry. All right, yes, that's board. All right, any discussion on that motion?
Can you repeat it, Marcus?
I can try. I believe I said perhaps that the motion would be to agree to the concept of assigning a lease to assigning a lease in the future, what is presented in addition to being willing to look at approving building modifications and or property improvements, again, as presented after it goes through our normal review process.
There was conceptually somewhere.
Yes, conceptually was in there somewhere. I'm sure Chris perhaps caught some of that. We have a reporter here.
Okay, we'll get it up.
So we'll get it.
Can you support that motion, Councilmember Schiffers?
I do.
Is there support for the motion? I support it. Thank you, Councilmember Malama. He's got a poll, so he's being a little more quiet than usual. Quieter. Thank you for coming. There is a motion and support. Any discussion from the city side here or from the county? Hearing none. Chris, could you give a quick roll call?
Councilmember Spelman.
Yes.
Malama.
Yes.
Schiffers. Yes. Mayor Barnett.
Yes. Motion passed. Thank you very much.
I'm going to make a motion that the county form an animal control advisory committee, short-term life and just develop any additional recommendations for the animal control program in the future. It will be comprised of one BOC member, one city council member, and the members of the 7 from the community. That would be a total of 7 people in the group.
30 seconds to that motion.
I just like to, I'd like to be part of somehow, even if that's being community.
Further discussion on the motion on the table? Roll call.
Taylor?
Stelzy, yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Howie?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Osborne?
Yes. So, we'll look at that together.
Any more board discussion?
More board discussion, any more board discussion?
Thank you for asking. I doubt it, but maybe. Anyone else have anything else?
Unless you want everybody bored.
Okay. Angela, do you know? Hang on just a second, everybody. So we have completed our public hearing on our side. We've discussed it as a board. Unless anyone else has anything else, we'll get right to you, Ms. Slack. So I think we're back to what we've done our schedule, agenda rather, public comments again.
Okay. When are you going to establish this committee?
Well, our staff person probably is going to talk to the council and see who would like to volunteer unless someone wants to tonight. But I think the two staff folks will get together, Mr. Hinton and Mr. Touchet. Is that okay, Marcus? When are we going to get it together?
Well, we don't see why it couldn't happen tonight.
Okay.
We have city council members here, we have board of commissioner members here, we have us.
I think the only thing is one of our city council members is not here. He may wish, may not to. Probably already busy enough with other things, but they don't have their full board, and nothing is stopping us. We have a bit of the order coming up where we could do more motions.
Well, I guess the majority of us feel that if you weren't concerned enough to show up tonight, then.
Somebody with the stomach flu like I was. I think that, how was it, what was the process for the public to get on this? Did they apply to it?
I would assume, normally when we put a committee together, we advertise back to put a committee together.
I think that would be the best way to do it, is to have folks apply to that committee. And then, that way it isn't like, I mean, there are people that I would really like on that committee, but we shouldn't be picking, it should be based on application. That's another one of those.
You do see the complications that we put before us, right?
I do, and things are moving forward. And there's just, I know it's complicated.
And we appreciate that, we do.
Okay. Any other public comment?
Any other public comment?
Slack, anything else? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just didn't know why we couldn't do it tonight.
Okay, well,
Been dragging feet forever.
you've got a point there. Is this I'll be on the board a little bit.
Any public comments?
Maybe I won't be.
No other public comment on both public comments?
I guess I don't know.
I know you guys make it like this because it's a little bit off the beat. Mr. Barnett said exactly right. Gonna put it down, put it on the ballot, put it on there exactly, designating exactly what you're gonna use it for.
That's right.
If you're gonna put it on the ballot, like you did the Council of Aging, forget it, because I will not vote for it. If I put you in the Council of Aging, then I will not vote for it again, until they get it worded so it's where everybody can come. Not for just one group.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
And I'm still mad about Mike. I mean, it is.
Any other public comment?
We'll get back. We have a bit of the order on our list. Right? Anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
Everybody wants to farm this thing down. Michael McCready from Matt. Put it in the paper. I know nobody reads it. Put it in the paper. Let's see who wants to apply for this committee.
It's here now. Right.
Just because you're here tonight does not mean that there are not people out there that are concerned with this. I mean, that's the same, you're guilty right now of the same thing you're blaming them for.
We're here. No, we're not informed. We're here.
Well, I was here. You know, you guys go to Anthony, go to Internet, go to Johnson here and talk to these folks.
All right, we can't hear everything you're saying, Michael, but any more public comment? And try not to direct comments if you can at the crowd, and if you direct them at us as boards. I'd ask that we undertake it.
Well, I guess we're down to your good of the order.
Okay, any other public comment? Anyone interview? Thank you. Thank you all for coming. We do have what we call good of the order. We just go around our table. I guess my first question, Mr. Fetch, is that I assume that's a county committee, the advisory?
Yes. I'd be happy to have agenda items to next meeting, simply asking for council volunteer.
Okay. And if you do hear of one of us that wants to volunteer, could we let them know immediately who that is so that the ball gets rolling? Okay, with that. Well, we could appoint, but I mean, there's nothing stopping that person from moving forward. We're not going to block someone if they have a... Okay. Good of the order. Anything else, Mr. Petchen? Thanks for coming again and holding up that end of the table. Doug, Councilmember Bellama.
At first, I was a little apprehensive about this meeting. I didn't know what would really be accomplished. But hearing the resource people and hearing what other communities are doing, I'm quite optimistic. And I do believe that millage would pass. I think it's a trust factor. People want to see customer service today. They want to see what they're getting for their money. We all look at price, we look at taxes, and we look at value, what we get out of that. And I definitely feel quite optimistic by setting up a oversight committee. I think that's important. You need to hear from your customers. You need to hear what's going on. You can't run a business. You can't run anything if you don't get feedback. And that's very important. One thing I want to do is take a look at our facility. It's been quite a few years since I've been out there. And I would like to see how much land's out there and just so I get a visual. And I plan on setting that up. So that's the part I have planned.
I'd like Marcus to next in the line here. That would be a great idea, is to set up a council meeting for us to tour the facility. That makes
Well, why don't you just go on script? Sorry.
Let's just finish with our board. You can bust in at that point. Council member Shippers and Bowman.
First of all, I would like to say that I understand the frustration. I felt that myself. But me tonight, I don't think that the board of commissioners has done enough, because there are a lot of people here that it's clear they've been in contact with. We're trying to work out solutions. So it isn't like the board of commissioners just waiting for tonight for us to be together to come up with something. It sounds like they've really reached out and started to do some real legwork to rectify this issue. So I'd like to thank you all for that. Also, I know it's very frustrating and being on the other side of the table to have to wait a little longer to go through the processes, the way that the processes are set. But they're there for a reason. They're there so that it's most inclusive and doesn't give even if it's an illusion, the illusion of being an inside job. So I think that it's very prudent to follow the procedures. And are moving along, they're moving along about as quickly as I can walk, which isn't all that quickly, but they're moving along. And we will get there. And I think that I have every confidence that the Board of Commissioners is going to follow through with this, and that this is a really good solution. I have every confidence that we've already done a lot of that.
I think everybody should come tonight. It's really good to see this many people together that are concerned about the issue here. A lot has been brought up over the last few months, probably longer than it was brought to public light, so the last few months. The committee, I'm glad to see that the majority of the members on it are from the community. I think that has been accomplished before successfully. I think that, I'd just like to give the county any advice here. It would be helpful if it was clear what the charge is for that committee, and I think that would probably be a good time for discussion in the executive committee. Maybe how long that committee is set to work. It isn't normal to another type of committee that's overseeing all that. I think it's too early to talk about a millage. Obviously, that's one of the things for me to look at, is sustainability of whatever we do, but it's certainly too early to say it's going to be financially stable. Thank you, Gary. Thank you for coming in. I totally get the frustration.
Thank you. More comments?
So I thank everyone for coming, especially this road was quite a way from Claire and Main Street. I helped them out, appreciate it. Moving forward. I'll just echo it. We'll leave some comments. Thank you everybody for coming, and we'll leave some comments.
Dave, you know, I know that you don't, you're not out in the audience, but there are a few that didn't show up tonight that they might have reasons why they didn't come, or some that might not believe that this was a good idea. But it was a good idea for me, and that's why I won. It lays groundwork to have an open forum with the city. They own the building, you don't. It also lays groundwork to have an open forum with you guys out in public. I got to meet some new faces, interesting conversation I thought happened tonight, and we are moving forward. It's slow. I know. I hate it. I don't like it. But we're moving forward. So with that, I make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. Is your meeting adjourned? And our meeting is as well. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Really appreciate it for the effort.
Yeah, that's my point.